Hi, this is In My Lounge Room and I'm your host, Skye.
And I'm your other host, Damo. And on today's episode, we've got a special guest.
Hey Damo, how you going?
Yeah, I'm good, Skye. How you going?
Oh, it's Saturday, I think. I don't know what day it is anymore. That's
Who
because,
knows?
being a mum.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I know it's Saturday because I don't have a child this weekend, so it must be the second Saturday.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Isn't it great? And you know what I can hear?
Well,
Silence.
Yeah.
Because there's
It's
no
different.
children yelling in the background.
No, there's no one yelling in the background. No one entering the room.
Yeah, no
None
squeaky
of that.
doors. It's quite boring, really.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
Fantastic. Back in the office.
Yay.
Working alone. Well, not alone, but my team's not there, so I'm having a slight deja vu. But yeah, it's been interesting. I've been super busy organising things for other people, but that's what I do.
So I've got exciting news.
Mm-hmm.
I am off my shred.
Woo!
I am back on carbs.
Nice.
I am drinking wine.
Yes, we
Life
are.
is good.
I should
Yes.
have brought some potatoes.
You should have.
Yes.
And I could just eat them raw. Okay, like we've sort of talked a bit about what our lives are at the moment. Can we talk a bit about the person sitting with us today?
Well, instead of talking about her, how about you introduce her and she can talk about herself?
Let's do that, okay? Our guest today is Lucy, who I've known for a couple of years, and I sent her a little message saying, hey, want to come and have some fun with Damo and Skye? And she said yes. Hey, Lucy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Now, I'm going to do like a bit of like we're on a date, and I want you, it's really classy, I want you to say, so tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, where do I begin? So my name is Lucy. I am a single mum to two beautiful boys, and I also happen to work in the adult industry.
How long have you known Skye? Because I'm interested to know how you met.
Maybe
We had babies.
I'm literally just trying I was
We
like,
had babies.
Isn't it funny when you have kids? And I was like, let me think about how old my youngest was at the time, and that's how many
Yeah.
years I'll be able to calculate it.
Yeah, so I remember because I was running a social media course. I think I was breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So he was like 4 or 5
still-
months.
Yeah, he was teeny tiny.
Yeah. So my youngest, I was definitely feeding him. So yeah.
It must be 5 years.
No, it's 6 years. It's almost 6
can't
years.
be.
Yeah, it's almost 6 years.
We're all getting old.
Oh my gosh.
There you
So
go.
was it, did you meet through a professional setting or just as parents? Or?
So
No, the first time I met you is you had a workshop on at my place.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how, it must have come up on my Facebook, I think, and it was on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I booked it because I was like, I really want to know more about Instagram, and you seem like you know your shit. So I booked it. And I remember at the time, like, we sort of like went around, introduced ourselves, and then I introduced myself, and you were like, oh, you have that business. And I was like, yeah, I do. So I think
I was already a follower.
you already, yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then that was it. And then,
And then we ended up co-working for a while because you
Yeah.
had your business and I had my marketing
Yeah.
business, and then we just bonded because we had 2 little boys.
Yeah.
Mums of boys always bond over the fact that they have boys, I think.
that's so true. And I think we're in really similar life stages at that point as well. And our businesses sort of complemented each other. So, yeah, it just all went hand in hand.
Yeah. And then I randomly, I was working in retail for a while, and I randomly saw you after years where I was working.
That's right, yeah. I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, I know. And then I randomly saw you again at a pub.
Yeah.
Is that because you were just in the same area geographically, so you could have bumped into each other at any time, or was it a really rare out of... I'm just interested in kind of...
So
sort of
last
weird
time we
stuff.
bumped into each other at the pub, which was not really like a local place for either of us.
No,
we just
it wasn't.
happened to be there at the same time. And
I think I wandered over. I'm like, oh my gosh, hi.
yeah, and I was, because you know how I know who you are, but I was like, I had that narrative in my head, and I was like, Skye's here. what the fuck? And I was like, oh, hi. Like, I just didn't expect to see you there. And then, it was really nice. I think you were at an event and I just happened to be there with a girlfriend. So
just in context, I was at an event for a singles group. And at the same time, I wasn't single at the time. I was seeing a narcissistic man, though American, who I ended up, I think, like, it all went downhill very quickly. That night, you missed me crying in the corner. It was very dramatic.
Yeah, I did miss that.
Yeah, good times. And yeah, I know, right? But that was when we saw each other. And then when we were talking about it's time maybe to get a guest, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got a great idea. And then I just messaged you. So yeah. And then I remembered how much we talk.
Yeah.
I'm always curious. I mean, I'm not much of a by definition, if you want, I'm an existential nihilist because I don't really believe there's a reason for anything.
What? There's no fate? There's no karma?
No,
Stop.
I don't believe in fate and karma and all that. But it still intrigues me when worlds collide and how they happen, because sometimes it's like coincidences are so freaky that you kind of have to stop and take pause and go, was it?
I don't know. I feel like every time we've caught up, it just all makes sense. And like every time we can, like, reconnect, it's like we've never not seen each other.
Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah. And it always seems to be not a reason behind it, but it's at another life stage and we've both progressed to that life stage at the same time. Like our lives seem to run very parallel to each other, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, because I have that experience with a very close friend of mine who we were actually talking about earlier. She and I met 6 years ago now. We actually dated for a little while. Then we kind of drifted away and eventually bumped into each other randomly and started hanging out as mates because we'd had like a huge gap in our lives. But now she's like a super close friend. But if I don't speak to her for a month, it's not important. We talk all the time, but it doesn't really matter. But it's always interesting how people bump into each other, and you just happen to bump into people, and then you realise, hang on, we could have crossed paths at any time because we go to the same supermarket or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have so much in common. We are single mums. We have 2 little boys who are pretty much like the same age.
Yeah.
We've had similar situations. We've both been business owners. So
and then there's, I guess, like life stages as well. I think intrinsically, like, we're both extroverted, we're both really chatty, like we have quite similar personalities. But yeah, then our life stages have sort of, like I said before, like moved parallel to each other at really similar stages.
Yeah,
so
it's bizarre, isn't it?
I just find it interesting.
But it's definitely not fate or karma.
No, because that doesn't exist. Hey, Damo.
It might, but...
I feel like we are more pro fate and karma, and you are definitely not.
I'm open to it, but I'm also, like I say, there's this nihilistic side of me that maybe I'm just a jaded old man where I'm just like, only things don't happen for a reason, and if they do, the only reason is you're stupid and you make poor decisions.
You guys have got to do a whole podcast on this, like fate and
Let's
coincidences.
do it.
But to the point where you have to be like, you know what? Okay, there's got to be some sort of high power that's making this happen.
I think that I don't think we're part of any particular plan, but there is. I think we're all connected in a metaphysical sense.
What about the idea when I say, I'm so over being single, and everyone's like, you know what? He's out there for you, Skye.
And he will find you when you stop looking.
Right?
Okay?
Yes. Like, that just does my head
when
in.
You least expect
right?
it.
Yeah. And I'm least expecting it now.
I've never expected anything.
No, that's true.
But it's kind of like, I used to have this saying I still go by, like, goals versus dreams, right? You want to achieve, and for me, being like in music industry and trying to achieve success in that, I achieved a level, but I could say, am I successful or not? Well, that depends where you look at it, but it's also that kind of a goal is an objective that you want to achieve. It's a dream with a date. So if you don't achieve a goal by a particular date, you've got to readjust your goals, or you will have to consider yourself having failed achieving that goal. But a dream is something you chase till the day you die. So follow your dreams, chase your dreams, and turn them into realities rather than calling them goals. They technically the same thing, but it's just one of those little kind of things that makes me feel better.
My goal can still be to be a Tony Award-winning musical theatre actress.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, it can.
Okay, so can we're going to go back to you, Lucy? Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what you do and how you got into it, because obviously you're a single mum.
Yeah.
Where did it go from? Obviously, you had a business before to where you are now.
So I had, I was recently separated. I had these 2 beautiful little boys, and I was at a real, I guess, crossroads in my life. I was literally just scrolling Instagram one day, and a girl I went to high school with put up this really saucy photo, and she was like, "My name is Lily, and I'm a good girl." And I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "That's not your name." And I was like, "What is going on?" And then she tagged me Instagram account, and it was just pictures of her that were really like racy, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," because I guess, up until that point, I've been like, or up until this point, like I've been quite like prudish almost. Like I've never been to a strip club. I've never done it. I got married really young. Like I've never done anything that's, you know, risque at all. So I was so interested. I was like, what are you doing? And I followed her for a bit, and then I sort of realised she was doing this thing called OnlyFans. And I clicked onto her link just out of curiosity. And I guess sort of, and then I did some research. I was like, oh, okay, so it's almost like, it's like Instagram for porn. It's like Instagram, but it's like nude pictures or, you know, whatever, wherever your boundary takes you. And I watched her for a couple of months, and then one day I was out with a group of friends, so like a separate group of friends. And there was a group photo taken of us, like 8 of us girls or something. And one of those girls happened to do OnlyFans, but I didn't know it at the time. And my ex-husband said to me, he's like, "Oh, I see you hanging out with these OnlyFans girls." And I was like, "Oh, like, I think, yeah, maybe like one of them does it. Okay." And he's like, "You better not do that." And then I went home that night and I signed up.
Good for you.
Now I'm going to do it. I wasn't going to, but now I'm going to. And I messaged my friend from high school, and I was like, "Hey, babe, I just signed up to OnlyFans. What am I doing? I actually have no idea. I just signed up. Like, is that okay? Like, what do I do?" And she was beautiful. And that's one of the things I love about the industry. It's really inclusive. And she was like, "Here's a free link to my page so you can see what I do. And any questions I had, she answered." I really just like jumped into it. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, what the fuck have I done? And I'm not one to do anything but halves. I was like, you know what? I was going to give it a go. Like, I've got this beautiful friend who's such a like a mentor and a guide, and I just ran with it. And I guess the rest is history. So now, 2.5 years later, initially when I first started it, I still had another job. Now I do it full time. I've got a team of, I think, 10 behind me. And I love it. It's such a huge part. It's become such a huge part of my life, and I guess really has become quite intrinsic to who I am as a person. Not in the sense of anything sexual, because I really, like, I'm not even a sexual person. I've had sex with one person in the last 12 months, but I am a rebel. I will push the boundaries, and if someone tells me I can't do something, I will do it. So in that sense, starting OnlyFans and becoming successful at OnlyFans, I think if you know me for an amount of time, you're like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Of course she did that, because she can't follow the rules.
Yeah. And also, I know how like ambitious you are. Like when you take something, you just go.
Yeah.
Do you find it, because you said it kind of changed you a bit, do you find it empowered you? Like,
Absolutely. When I initially had that conversation with my ex, and he was like, "You better not do that," and I was like, "Mate, like, I'm freshly single. Like, I do not want to put pictures of my body on the internet. I've been single since before I had kids, and having that judgment is going to fuck with my mental health. I'm never going to do that." However, it's really it's a total opposite. So, and I'm the first to admit, like, I'm overweight. I have like a flabby, like, mummy tummy with like the extra skin, and like, it's a lot of things that I guess I don't fit into that Western typical beauty standard. However, I have thousands of men messaging me and being like, "You are perfect. You are a babe. Marry me. Love your skin. Love this. Love that." And it has really made me appreciate and just be proud of who I am as a person.
I think that echoes what I said last week.
100%.
Is like everybody is somebody's perfect.
So
like
that is exactly
it's
right.
my favorite quote.
I will die on that hill. Like, I get so passionate about people. I've got girlfriends that are like a size 6. I've got girlfriends that are a size 20. I've got friends that are heavily tattooed. I've got friends that are, just all different types. So girls who are freshly 18, and then there's women in their 60s that are top performers on OnlyFans. And it all comes down to everybody has a type.
Yeah.
Whoever subscribes to me isn't going to subscribe to someone who's a size 6 with like blonde hair and big fake boobs, but that's okay. That doesn't mean she's any more or less beautiful than me, or vice versa.
No.
It is just a different type.
And that was going to be what I was going to say. Is I think that OnlyFans, because it's you need to subscribe. Okay.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're choosing to be there. So it's not like it's just in the wider space where people who aren't into your type are going to be like, oh, just why are you doing this? It's like, if you're here, it's because they like you and what you've got to offer.
That's right.
Okay, sorry, I have so many questions.
Yep,
because
hit me.
when I was personal training, like I told a couple of clients we were having this guest on, and they were like, "Oh, we have so many questions," and I'm like, "Yeah, probably all the questions I have." And that is, as a single mum, obviously, I'm always like, "How do I find a way to make more money?" And when I've discussed OnlyFans with people, they're like, "No, because your ex-husband will take the children, you'll lose your job, and that's your life over." What do you say to that?
When I first started, I had ex-friends, people I was friends with at the time, but obviously I'm not anymore. I had people call the police. I had people call child protection. I had people call my kids' private school and say, "This is what Lucy's doing."
They do realise it doesn't involve kids, right?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
You ask my kids they're like, if you ask my kids, "What does mum do for work?" And they'd be like, "I don't know, nothing. She goes in the computer sometimes, that's all I know." They've got no idea.
We've
I'm
got
a
a place to
photographer.
live. We have clothes and we get fed, and that's all that we're worried about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I copped all of that, and I ended up working with a police officer who specialises in domestic violence, and it was really interesting hearing what he had to say. He looked it up for me actually, and he's like, "Yep," he's like, "I can see there's been 6 separate people call DCP."
Sorry. My alarm just went off.
Is it time to
Carry
go
on.
to sleep? Is it time to wake up?
You
Or-
both were.
I was like, it's definitely not my phone.
I can see 6 separate people have called DCP saying that you are a sex worker and you have kids. And he's like, "How many times have police knocked on your door? How many times has anyone done a welfare check on you?" I was like, 0. I was like, "I've never even heard any. No one's ever called me. Like, I've heard nothing from authorities." And he's like, "Exactly. You know why? Because we don't give a fuck. He's like, we do not care. Like, unless someone can, unless you're hitting your kids or anything like that. Like, this is not our jurisdiction. Like, what you do is perfectly legal. There's a lot of single mums that do it. So
Okay, that gives me hope.
there is nothing. Like,
Well, I mean, coming from my background in the industry that I used to work in, there are people who do what society will consider to be very straight, normal jobs, who are terrible people.
That's true.
Yeah, so
that's true.
it doesn't matter what you do, it's who you are. If you're going to be a good mother and do the right thing by yourself and your children, who cares what you do? You can work in the adult industry, you can work in a shop, you can sell flowers on a roadside. If you're a good person and you're providing for your family, you're not harmful to anybody.
there's no correlation between it at all. My children don't know what I do. They will get to an age where I will need to explain it to them. And I'm not ashamed at all.
No.
It's just that they're at an age where it's not appropriate for me to be talking about sex or pornography or anything like that. We will get to that stage someday, but right now they've got no idea. Like,
Kids have a habit of talking to their friends about things, and like then there will inevitably be parents who are going to have the attitude of the people that you've mentioned, who they're going to come home and go, oh, my friend's mum does this, and then their brain will explode.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just use an example, like in regards to myself and my ex-husband and the difference in like, you know, attitude. So my oldest son got in the car when I picked him up, and he was like laughing, and I said, what's wrong? And he's like, I've got to tell you something, Mum, but don't get angry. I'm like, okay. He's like, I saw Dad and his now ex-partner having sex. And I was like, it's okay, mate, it's fine, like it's fine. And I was laughing because I was like, yes, it's not me.
Was that which one? Who was it that said that?
The oldest.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and I'm like, it's
the little one would be like, they were wrestling.
Right, no, Joshua, my oldest totally worked it out. He knew what was going on. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. But anyway, he kept going on and on about it for a couple of days, bringing it up. It was disgusting, this and that. I'm like, remember, it's not disgusting. It's just what it is. It's something between adults. But I ended up having to
give
message.
it 10 years, mate, and we'll have this conversation again.
But I just laughed I just thought it was hilarious. I was like sucked in to my ex. Anyway,
tell that to your therapist in 20 years. Yeah.
Anyway, then it kept going on about it, and I was like, right, I need to just tell his dad, because obviously this is affecting him in some way. And so I messaged him, and I said, look, this is what's happened. He's seen you, and it's totally fine, but I think you just need to have a bit of a chat to him. He goes, I did have a chat to him. I said to him, Dad said he had a chat with you, and he's like, yeah, he came in and he said, go to bed. And that was the chat. And I was like, oh, are you sure? He goes, yeah, he ran in and he said, go to bed now. It's late.
So immediately after him
when he was
seeing,
caught.
Okay,
Not
he's
caught,
come in there.
but, yeah.
And he's just gone.
Yeah. And then, so that's why I think he
Ignore.
then got in the car with me, and he was like, oh my gosh, my mind is like, I need to talk to someone who's going to, and that's the thing, that's the difference between, and that was our relationship, really.
Did you ask him if he had any questions about it?
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't really have a lot of questions. He just wanted to say, it was more that he didn't know what to think. And I just kept saying to him, because he's like, why are you laughing, Mum? I'm like, because this is 100% natural and it's normal, and I've caught my parents, and the way you're feeling is totally normal. And I said, but if you have any questions, and he didn't really, I think he just needed to make sure he wasn't allowed, he wasn't bad for finding this, for seeing this, where his dad made him feel bad.
I didn't catch my parents. I heard them through the wall many times.
I never did, but I definitely caught them.
My mum listens to this podcast.
Hi, Mum. I caught my parents. I remember I was 14. I caught them. I caught them like mid-action, and I couldn't. So the next morning, I remember having breakfast. I couldn't look at them, and then I'm like, and Mum was like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "You guys disgust me." And then I just stopped.
You get older and you're like, it's not actually that
dramatic.
gross. But
No, so dramatic, not me at all. And like now I was talking to Mum about it the other day, and she's like, I can't believe how dramatic you were, Skye. Like you were just so determined that we were the most disgusting people in the world. But yeah, I think just in regards, that's where I wanted to come back to the fact that it's all about the attitude of the parents.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Like my children will come and be like, we saw this happen at Dad's house, and I'm like, okay, cool, like good. That's okay. Like not that story, but similar things. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, Dad could do whatever he wants. Like, it's not, to the point that I haven't even brought it up with my ex, because I'm like, it's fine. And then, so there's that. And then they'll come home and they'll be like, why don't you have a boyfriend? And like, aren't you married? Where are you going to get a boyfriend from? They just think that I'm like never going to have a boyfriend.
My boys ask the same thing.
Oh,
yeah.
God. My daughter asked, she said she wanted to have because she's only child, she's like, wanted a little sister, and I'm like, oh yeah. She goes, yeah, because Mum's not gonna have any children. I'm like, I know that. And she goes, how about you? And I'm like, I kind of can't.
Yeah.
I
am a man.
Yeah. She's like, well then, I said, you need a partner for that. You need a woman. And he goes, well then get one to give you a baby. And I'm like, oh hey, I'll just.
Off you go.
Hi there.
Just put that in your Tinder bio.
Female, are you fertile?
Looking for a baby.
Yeah,
I'm not worried
mama.
about you, but my daughter wants a little sister. So if you could provide me with it, if you've got one going, then
that's so funny. But notice that she didn't ask for younger brothers, because now she's dealt with my two boys. She doesn't.
Oh no, this is she's always been very boys are icky.
Actually, the
very
boys
girly,
always
yeah.
ask for a younger sister. They're always like, we want a younger sister. I'm like, good luck with that. You know,
My boy's the same, especially my little one. He's like, I just really wish we could have a baby. My elder said to me, he's almost 9. A couple of days ago, actually, he's like, we're going to have a baby. I'm like, what do you mean we? And he's like, our family, we're going to have one. I'm like, where are you getting this baby from? And he's like, you're going to have a baby. I'm like, what the fuck you? I was like, I'm not even, like...
Yeah, see, since this point, I've had the conversation with her because she's like, we've had conversations about periods and about children and stuff, and we spoke about sex, and she's just kind of like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, you do need someone else.
Yeah, it's very handy.
That's how it works, yeah.
Okay, I have another question for
Yep.
you. So you're a single mum. You're like, I'm a single mum, and I find it hard enough to date with just a 9-to-5 job. You know, like just an office job.
Yeah.
How do you? How are you on dating apps? How are you dating? Are you dating? Do you want to date? Tell me more.
So I'm not dating at the moment, purely from that time factor. So I've got 2 kids on my own most of the time, and I'm very determined. Like, I'm very, very work focused, and I love to be. I love to be either with my kids or working. So it's hard for me to try to like take time away from my work or my kids to go and see a man. Like, that's just not a priority for me. I'm not opposed to meeting anybody, but it's just not a priority for me. It's really interesting. I have, in the TikTok comments, people are like, you'll never find a good man, or like, you'll be single forever and no one will want you. But I have dated in the past, and I honestly don't think I've had a bad experience when I've been like, I do OnlyFans for work. Most of the time, men will come back and be like, that is so fucking cool. Like, so you, cause they know, like, everyone knows what OnlyFans is now. So they know I work my own hours. They know that, I'm self-employed, I'm flexible. Like, honestly, I don't think I've had a man come back and be like, oh, you're disgusting or anything. And to be honest, if they did, I'm just not interested in men like that. And I have dated while doing this, just here and there. Like, I've seen people for like 4 months, 6 months at a time, and us separating was nothing to do with my work, nothing to do with me being a mum. We just weren't right for each other.
I did have experiences over the last 6 years of dating on and off where being almost full-time as a parent, it really did affect it, because so I understand what you're saying is like, and you do as well. Is I would have people who would be like, first of all, when people would find out that I have my daughter 12 nights a fortnight, they'd be like, when do you have time for me? And I'm like, well,
the other 2 nights a fortnight.
Yeah, you need to fit in there, because I'm like, oh, you're just going to prioritize your daughter. I'm like, yeah, bye.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a parent. That's what I do. And I'm a solo parent.
And I think that's the problem. People don't understand that as a parent, our children are number one, and they always will be. Like, and if you're going to come into my life with my children, then you aren't going to be as important as my children, because they're little children.
Yeah.
So you'd have people just going like, oh, can we catch up? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't have any family support to babysit, so I need to organise a babysitter in advance.
That's expensive.
I have like one person I call on. If she's not available, then no, you're going to need to wait until next fortnight. Saturday, 9 days from now, I'll be able to see you.
Yeah.
I can't wait that long. Well, you have to.
I know, and it's really frustrating. I find it really annoying that they all have that same attitude. And one guy even said to me, can you come to Perth? And I'm like, okay, but that means I've got to pay to get to Perth and a babysitter. And that's not even including like drinks, dinner, whatever.
Yeah.
And I
It's
guess
an expensive night.
with your work, you do have flexibility, like you said, because if you want to, you can pick any time of the day to do it, really. But that doesn't mean that you're going to go, well, I'm going to put all that aside because I need to be at your beck and call.
That's right.
Yeah.
So essentially, my kids are both school age. So I have those 5 days a week where they're in school, that I could date and I could go meet somebody, but then I can't work, so it's taking away from my income. So I'm sure at one stage, at one point, I'll want to meet somebody and I will take away from my work to go and meet somebody. But right now, I'm in that hustle mindset where I just want to make hay while the sun shines. And that's, I guess not to say that like I'm not interested in meeting anybody, but it's kind of like kids at the top and then work and then, family and like, maybe like number 8 on my list of priorities is meeting someone.
And I think that like people are like, well, what's wrong with you if you don't want to like settle down and have a partner? And like, I don't have to. Like for me, it was like I was with my daughter's mum for nearly 16 years. And then I was a year, nothing, nobody, didn't have anything to do with anyone. And then after that, I'm like, I'll start dating. And then I thought, well, I have to be with somebody once I started doing that. Then I was in relationships that didn't work for me, where it didn't make me happy. So then I'm like, no, I don't have to be with anybody. And then you just kind of worry about yourself. So I think that your life is yours, right? How you prioritize things is up to you, and it's admirable that you put your family first. So how you do that is you need money to support them. You have a job that if you work hard, you're going to do very well. So no one can criticize you for that.
Next question. Sorry, obviously I'm the voice of the public because there's so many questions I think people have for you.
Yeah.
So you have OnlyFans. A lot of people probably don't know OnlyFans. I know a lot do, so 60-70%, but not all. Do you only have an OnlyFans? Do you do anything like in person with clients or?
No, so I only do OnlyFans. I do have, I guess, like a couple of like offshoots. Like there's another website called Fansly, and then I charge to have people on Snapchat and things as well. But no, I keep it just online. There's definitely been times where people have been like, I'll offer you like $5,000 to like come and have sex with me or something like that. But it's actually against OnlyFans terms and conditions to meet with anybody off the site. So if that was documented, if I got caught doing that $5,000 is not going to go very far when I've totally lost my platform for income.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I've got to, I guess, like play by the rules because it terrifies me to be banned from that website. And it happens. Like they will ban girls if they think that they're escorting and meeting clients from there. So that's not to say it doesn't happen. Like there's plenty of escorts that have an OnlyFans and run them both successfully. And I am all for full service sex work. I just don't have enough hours in the day to do both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like I mentioned earlier, I've got a friend who used to be a sex worker and she was full service, and this is going back in the days before OnlyFans. Now she has mentioned recently, she's like, I need some money, God, I can get back into this business, but she doesn't feel like she can on a full-time basis. And I'm like, do OnlyFans. And she said, but I'm older now and I'm not attractive anymore, and I just don't think men are going to want to pay to see that if they don't get to actually physically have contact with me. And I'm like, that is just not true.
They will, 100%. There's a 60-year-old that's in the top 1% of
That's
OnlyFans.
amazing.
Yeah, isn't it incredible?
Yeah.
And it's really funny how men tend to want what is the opposite. So like a 60-year-old, I bet most of her subscribers would be younger guys, whereas the 18-year-olds, all their subscribers, not all of them, but the majority of their subscribers would be the older men.
Yeah.
So there really is a market for
everybody.
For everyone.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm frantically taking notes here. Can you tell?
I get so passionate about it. Like the opportunities as a single mum it has given me. So my little one has a disability, so he has various appointments during the week. I can take him to every appointment.
That's amazing.
My kids don't have to go to vacation care. They don't go to after school care. They don't go to before school care. I'm there. If they've got an assembly on, I'm there. They've got a sporting event, I'm there. So I'm able to work my work hours around their schedules. If I'm not with the kids, then yes, I'm working, but I'm never working when I'm with the kids.
See, I've got another friend. I got a lot of interesting friends.
You do.
Well, not a lot of friends, but I know a lot of people. So I've got a friend who he is, he's a pup. Do you guys know what that is? It's a kink.
okay.
So he's like,
Yeah.
So he's into pet play. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So he wears a mask and like little leather gloves and
Yeah.
stuff.
I thought you meant
So,
like he's a really young kid, but yeah.
No.
You know what I mean?
He's a
Oh, he's
pup,
just a
and so
pup.
he'll have
No,
a handler.
yeah.
It's very leather oriented.
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
So he's into that and that. But then he's got an OnlyFans. I don't know if he continued on with it, but he's like, I saw him posted on his Instagram that he's got an OnlyFans, and I was like, go you.
Yeah.
Like, because he's not only, it's a sexual fetish. It's a thing that makes him feel good to do. And he can also make money because there are men out there who want to see him on all fours dressed like a puppy dog.
Yeah.
Good for him.
he
And they'll
like-
pay for the privilege.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, man, you got a real niche there.
Yeah.
Get into it, yeah. So it is for everyone. Like, you can go on there and you can see whatever you want.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's still an attitude out there though that if you're in any form of the sex industry, that therefore you're dirty, you're disgusting, and you should be like banned from human society.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. It's really interesting. When I first started this, the people that I thought would support me didn't, and the people that I thought would cut me off have actually jumped to my defense. A few weeks ago, I had an article go viral on Perth Now. So they did an article on me, and it was really interesting. So there was a girl locally who was my stepsister at one point. So our parents were in a relationship and we all lived together as teenagers. She was commenting and tagging her mum, and she's like, "Ha, look at this." And her mum's like, "Bet her dad would be proud," like bitching about me in the comments. And I messaged her. I was like, "Ashley, are you fucking kidding me?" And leave her real name in. I was like, if anyone ever said anything bad to me about you, I would be the first to jump to your defense. And you have the audacity to talk about my dead dad on social media when all I'm doing is supporting my kids. And she's like, "Well, if you do things like that, you have to expect people to judge you." And then she blocked me.
Wow.
So obviously she's not ready to deal. Doesn't want to be held accountable to her actions. So there's that. And then another one of my step siblings at one point. So my dad had a lot of girlfriends. So he married a lady who had a son, and he messaged me because he saw my article, and he's like, "Lucy, I just saw your article, and I just wanted to let you know I saw it, and I think it is so fucking awesome. Like, you've been through so much, and look at you taking control of your life." He's like, "No matter what happens, like, I know we're not close anymore, but you've got a cheerleader in me, and it is so cool to see you
That's
doing well."
amazing.
And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, two people in my life that were the same relationship. Like, both of them had parents that were, had mothers that were in a relationship with my dad at one point. And that girl decided to put my real name on there, out me, tag me, laugh at me, bring up my dead father. And then I had another one who was like, "You know what? Fucking awesome. Like, go for it."
And I think that, like, in society, people are judged for having tattoos, piercings, the way you dress, the makeup you choose to wear, your ethnicity, your size, everything. So it's good to know that when it comes to something like this, which you're going to get judged for, people are going to judge you for anything. Like, I was judged for my previous occupation. Like,
I judge you for it.
yeah, and people are like, "Oh, you must be a real asshole." I'm like, I'm not. I actually help people, but we won't go into that. But it's a perception because you never had to deal with someone like me. But it's good to know that there are people who will openly give you that support. And it's not, and it's coming from a genuine place, because they probably know that there are definitely going to be people dragging you down. So it's really it's good to hear that you have those people in your life. And I would assume that you do, because you seem pretty confident in what you're doing. And you even though that's, it also portrays you as an independent person who's going back to what you said when your ex said, "Don't you do that?" And you're like, you know what? I'm doing
yeah.
it because it's my life. It's not your choice.
And it's funny actually. Just it reminds me of when we first met, and we used to always both talk about the fact that that mothers of sons, and that we were going to always be like, yeah, women are awesome even if we never have daughters. And I just feel like nothing's changed for you. Like you're exactly the same person, but you're just obviously you're successful and you've done really well, but you're still the same person that I knew 6 years ago.
And there are people who say to me, they'll be like, "Oh, you're only a feminist because you've got a daughter," and I'm like,
Whatever.
No. I'm not a feminist for a start. I just believe in equality. Like, why do you put women up so high? I'm like, I'm not. I'm treating women as human beings, as equals.
So, and funnily enough, guess what is going to, Tuesday is International Women's Day, and the theme is Beat the Bias. And I don't think that's just, I think it's a great theme. I don't think it's just about, I'm not being paid by International Women's Day, by the way, but I'm just very passionate.
I wish you were.
I know, right? It's not just about, female, male bias. It's just in general, beat the bias of any sort of inequality that you're dealing with. And I mean, your industry, there's a huge bias against sex workers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as a single mum, people will come at me and be like, you shouldn't be in sex work. But it's the same people that if I was living off Centrelink, they'd be like, get a job. If I had a job, they'd be like, you didn't look after your kids. Like, why are they in after school care? If I collected child support, they'd be like, you're living off your ex. Like, there's literally every single situation. It would have been the same group of people that I would have copped the criticism from. So I don't think it's, a lot of the time it's not a judgment against sex work. It's a judgment against, I think it just kind of ties back to tall poppy syndrome. I could have been a mechanic and been like a millionaire being a mechanic, and they would have been like, she's just doing it because she wants to hang out with men all day. Or I could have been, anything. And if I was successful in like any industry, it would have been the same group of people cutting me down trying to say something.
It says more about them than it does about you, and you obviously, but it kind of people are going to judge so many things that they think they're entitled to judge, and that's what it comes down to. It's that sense of entitlement, and it, like something as small as, I don't know, it's you can take it as small, but I'm going to say it's small, but something as small as what you do for a living is nobody's business as long as no one's getting hurt. Right. If you were an assassin...
That would be pretty cool, though.
Which would be
like
cool.
4'11" assassin.
Yeah. And it, like, I don't know, do it from a distance, you might have a sniper rifle. Yeah. But if you were doing that and you were doing it for dodgy people, I might be like, I'm not a big fan of the people you work for. Like...
I feel like you've gone with the sexiest industry ever, assassin.
Yeah.
We need to do something like tax accountant.
I was just...
Now I kind of want to be an assassin.
Yeah, I was just looking for something illegal, like...
Okay.
Something that society's definitely
a drug dealer.
A what?
Like a drug dealer then.
Yeah, okay.
Like
I honestly think I would have copped less judgment and less shit from society being a drug dealer.
There you go.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because a lot of these people...
Yeah.
a lot of these people that would judge you are probably buying drugs.
Exactly.
I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's... You know what I'm saying,
yeah.
though. It's... Who cares what you do? And another thing is... This is your body... If you choose to show it to people and get paid to do that, then people are just jealous that
they are, exactly.
It's literally, I feel like I'm just doing the same thing that everybody else does. Like I've got, a huge amount of single friends that will send nudes, or, girlfriends who are like trying to get guys to talk to them. So they'll send them a photo of their boobs and be like, oh my God, he messaged back. Because I sent him a photo of my boobs, and I'm like, okay, so that's okay, but it's not okay for me to do it and monetize it.
Right.
It's just a really interesting, like, where's the line? So it's okay to send nudes, but it's not okay to get paid for it. Or it's okay to, have sex with people, but it's not okay to record it. But it is okay to record it as long as you just keep it for your own personal use. But you can't put it on the internet. And it's just, there's so many different boundaries, and it shifts with every single person you speak with.
It comes from a really old place, but at the same time, I mean, I was recently watching a TV series which was based in like the 1890s, and the way that sex was talked about, and how it was only something that men were allowed to be, in control of. But then the women who were working in the sex industry, they were all just really strong, empowered women because they just had the balls to do it. It was a different world, but you can see how those attitudes have pulled through, and it's really great that women have an outlet of safety as well, where they don't have to go and you're not putting yourself at physical risk by doing this on the internet. You protect yourself with your privacy. You have your name that you use. I don't know what the criticism is that people. I don't know where it comes from. Because I'm not that kind of person, so I don't understand why you would criticize someone for that. But you did mention earlier that you've not encountered men when you've been dating since you've been in this work that you have dated that have had a problem with it. But have you encountered men who you haven't started to date that have potentially... What am I saying? Like, when you're on Tinder or whatever, does it come up early? Like, do you say, this is what I do for a living? And have you had men become abusive
or unmatch
negative
you
at that
or
point,
yeah.
or unmatch
No.
you at that? No?
Never. I've had men unmatch me when I mentioned I have children.
Okay,
That's
yep.
normal.
Yeah. I've never, ever had a man unmatch me when I say that I do OnlyFans.
Cool. Do you think that there's a portion of that comes from men going, that's hot? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, men are like, think it's kind of, it's naughty. Like, awesome, I'm going to get to date a girl who does OnlyFans.
I don't think so. I actually think it comes from a sense of being like, oh, wow, this girl's independent. Like, she's
Cool.
Empowered. She's an entrepreneur. Like, I think that is sexy. I don't think it comes from a place of like, fuck yeah, I'm going to get all these like free nudes and
Yeah.
I'm going to be a porn star with
Cool.
her. And yeah, I honestly, because you can tell, like, men don't come back and they're like, oh, so do I get free this or can I see this for free? Like, that doesn't happen. They're just like,
Yeah.
cool, awesome. So you're available during the day. Let's grab a drink.
No, that's good.
That's cool.
Because for me
Yeah.
personally, what I find attractive about the job is exactly what you said. That it's like you're working for yourself, you're
Yeah.
self-motivated, you're potentially, your success is self-driven. You get out what you get put into it. And yeah, you're flexible.
Yeah,
I just think
yeah.
it's a very small minority of men. We're in 2022. I think it's a very small minority of men who are like, I want a woman who is like Virginia and she's untouched and she stays at home with the kids, and like men, like from my perspective, I don't think they want that anymore. They want
No.
someone who is a teammate, who is like, I'm gonna hustle, you're gonna hustle, let's build an empire together. And it would be unattractive for them if I was like, oh, I'm just unemployed waiting for a man to come.
What
and
about
save me.
women? Like, how do women react?
Women are the worst.
I bet they are.
Women, people will always say, like, ask about the feedback I get. It is the women that all my worst stories are from women. I've had to get restraining orders against women, or one in particular, who just got so obsessed and so like crossed
Disgusted with you,
boundaries
or what was it? What was the problem?
and,
Or a client, like a fan, or
No, so she was also a creator who I took her under my wing for a little bit because I was like, I'm so open about it. I think everybody should. It's an option for everybody if they want to do it. And I just became too friendly with her, and then she was like, unfortunately, I had a lot of mental health issues, and then she just flipped one day, and she's like, "You hate me," and I was like, "No, babe, like, yeah, we're all good, like, it's okay." And she's like, "Why are you trying to send people to kill me?" And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? And it just got really, really scary. And yeah, I've got a restraining order on her for 2 years now. So that was one story. Another story is I had somebody locally message me and was like, "Hey, you do this? I do this as well." And I was like, "Cool, let's catch up for a wine. Here's my personal Facebook. Add me and we'll be friends." within half an hour, she'd messaged my ex-husband and was like, have you seen this?
Wow.
And with half an hour from that, he had called my family and outed me to everybody. And it was the next day I packed up and moved from this town because it was, and it's just really disappointing that that girl was also a creator. And like I mentioned before, I had that Perth Now article go viral, and she's in the comments commenting her own personal link under everyone whose comments, still trying to ride my coattails. Yeah. I've never had a man do anything like that. I've never had a man cross the boundary. It's always the women.
And it's interesting. I think I was saying before we were like recording about a school mum that we both know who was very sort of anti about what you're doing, and I was just like, I think it's cool. Like, but there's that attitude. Oh, she can't be doing that.
I think that I'm going to speak from my own perspective, but that many men, such as myself, love strong, driven, independent women who also are human and have vulnerability, who don't necessarily need me, but want me to be there for them if they need me. You know, so like that whole level of like inability to stand on your own 2 feet, and you know, like it's not attractive. Someone who works hard and wants things from life is attractive, no matter what that involves.
Although, can I just say now, and you probably might agree with this, the hometown that we're from, there is definitely sort of this whole idea of like the girls staying home, being that like, they had their babies early. They are very much the caregivers, and the man goes and does the work. It's probably that's the town that we're from, but there's a very clear old-fashioned mentality about motherhood and being a woman, and it does my head in.
Well, the small town that I'm from, a large percentage of women immediately after leaving school was like, okay, time to become a wife and a mother and support my man in what he needs to do. And it was just, that's normal.
Yeah. But the problem is our hometown it's really a city. And yet there's still, I don't know whether it's because it's a FIFO city, but there is still that attitude.
It's funny how it's a city and there's a huge population here, but it does have such a small town mentality still. And everybody knows everybody still.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you step 1 foot out of that perfect little suburban wife box you're supposed to fit in, you are an outcast, and you're not welcome anymore. And look, I grew up here, I miss it, but everything I've left behind is worth what I have now. I was able to pay off every single debt that I had from my marriage. I've just bought a house. I've got a brand new car. I put both my kids through private schools, and I've got the flexibility of, I could do whatever I want. So am I upset because of the world being like, you shouldn't be doing that? No, I'm not, because what I have now, and seeing how secure my kids are and how happy they are and how happy I am. I've been that suburban mum. I've been that wife. And I tell you what, I'm so much happier now than what I was then. So
that's awesome. I feel like we're going to have to wrap it up, though. I'm sad to say.
Well, it's been great. I think we've
we could do a part 2 of this because this has been such a great experience. And I think there's probably a lot of people are going to have a lot of more questions. So it might be good to do another Q&A one time with you as well.
Yeah, sounds great.
Where do you want to plug your Instagram?
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So you can find me on both Instagram and TikTok. My handle is It's Not Lucy Banks.
I love it.
Because It's Lucy Banks was banned.
Yep.
So follow me. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and obviously OnlyFans as well, if you're feeling a bit naughty. And I'm really open to anyone who's got any questions or wants to know more about the industry. By all means, flick me a message and we can have a chat.
Yeah, that's excellent. And you can find us In My Lounge Room on Instagram. And you can email us if you've got any comments or you want to say or anything you'd like us. If you don't want to contact Lucy yourself, we can pass on feedback through the show that way. So that's Skye and Damo at gmail.com. Speaking of emails,
yes,
we've got a lot of emails this week that I'm not going to read because we're saving them for next week,
I'm so excited.
Is dating horror stories.
Dating horror stories. I have so many, but we're going to not tell too many of ours and more of like the emails that have come through.
I've got a couple, but they'll be quick.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got a few emails, so please send us your dating horror stories to our email address, or if you want to DM us on Instagram, if you're more comfortable with that, do that.
Yeah.
But email is just easier.
It is easier.
But just on that, just quickly, you got any dating horror stories just you want to share before we go?
I honestly don't know where I'd begin. None of which are related to my job, by the way,
No.
but just men in general. Oh, yes, you know what? First one that comes to mind. I have to tell this. So I was on a date with this guy who was lovely. We met at 11 a.m. We went to the pub and we just hit it off. Like, we ended up we sat there for hours and he's like, do you want to get matching tattoos? And I was like, yeah, I want to get matching tattoos.
Oh my gosh.
We booked a hotel room and we were just like, that was it. We just got along so well. But he's like, oh, I don't have my phone with me because I just bought a new phone and it hadn't, the networks haven't switched over yet. But do you mind if I check my Instagram on your phone? And I was like, it's a bit weird, but okay. So every time I got up and went to the toilet, because this was like a 13-hour long date in the end, he would check his Instagram on my phone. And I was like, I mean, he just must need to talk to someone, but okay. Anyway, one time I came back from the toilet, so he gave me my phone back, and then he went to the toilet, and I opened my phone, and he was messaging some other girl. I was like, I miss you so much.
Oh my gosh.
I'll come see you tomorrow. I wish you were here. And I was like... Yeah. And I got up and left, and I was like, look, you were literally messaging some other girl off my phone while you were with me on our first date. Like, this isn't okay.
No.
And then he lost it at me. He's like, I've just spent all this time with you, and you've just up and left me.
Negging.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, mate, I'm not interested. That was 2.5 years ago, still in my DMs.
Oh, mate.
That is a classic story.
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
Lucky you didn't get them matching tattoos.
I know. He was from a reality show as well, and he's like, oh my God, people are looking at us. Oh my gosh, I hope no one writes a Daily Mail article about us. I was like, nobody is looking at us. Nobody cares. Like,
people are looking.
Nobody even knows who you are. But he was like, oh...
Sounds like a keeper.
Yeah.
Just hope someone else kept him.
Yes.
Maybe not. Maybe he just needs to grow up and learn to be better. Because
I think so.
And
do
that
better,
poor
man. Do better.
Do better. And that poor girl that he was messaging.
Yeah, why?
She wouldn't have a clue that he's
No,
out
no
on
idea.
dates and messy.
Gotta love it. I think we're gonna get lots of cool stories next week.
I'm probably gonna get a bit annoyed.
I think you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
do.
may need
I
a
get
couple
little
of
bit
wines
upset
before we
on
even
people's
start.
behalf.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Okay, that's it. That's the episode.
that was wonderful. Thank you once again, Lucy,
Yeah,
for being
thank
with
Thank
us.
you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
All good.
Okay. That's it then.
That's it. Time to go. See you next week.
Totally can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm off to drink some more wine.
Yeah, I'm off to go do other things. I need to go to the toilet, all right?
Okay, go and do
I'll
that.
drink wine with you guys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.